Durant's got Ginobili on him. Give and go. Curry.
Yeah.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
We talking about practice.
Nope.
You're serious.
Yeah.
Give it up. You get it back.
Oh, beautiful. Give back.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Give and Go podcast presented by Sport.media. My name is Daniel Freeman and I'm joined by Dylan Brown, Jed Lanyon and Jared Gardner. We have a big show today. We're going to start with probably the biggest talking point of the week so far, which is that Ty Lue is no longer at the Cavs. He has been fired, as has assistant Damian Jones. And Larry Drew, who was reported to be the interim coach, has come out and said no, he doesn't want to be coach. That's how bad the Cavs situation is right now. But he's apparently the voice of the coach without being the coach. So who knows? Who knows how that works? The Cavs have started 0-6. They're the last. Well, they played today versus Atlanta, but they already got pumped by Atlanta earlier. So who knows? They could be 0-7. But is it too soon to have they overreacted a little bit just to fire him after 6 games?
I don't think so, simply because I don't see how it gets much better for this team. And it's unfortunate that Kevin Love is injured now, so he's going to miss, supposedly going to miss a little bit of time.
Apparently nearly a month.
Yeah, which isn't going to help whoever the interim coach is. But there was not a lot shown in the first week or so of the season to say that.
Is it Ty Lue's fault, though?
No.
You just think, because this team is terrible.
Yeah, but that was... He can only use what he's given, and they lost LeBron, the best player in the world, with nothing in return. There's what else?
Do you think he's been exposed a little bit, though, because they've lost LeBron? Like, is he actually a good coach, or was he just looking like a good coach because he had LeBron?
He was the best coach at the time, just to rein in all the personalities.
After David Blatt.
Yeah, well, he started as LeBron's guy. That was the...
I don't think he's a coach that can build a team.
Well, this is the thing about coaching LeBron. It's a blessing and it's a curse because you have the best player in the world, and on most occasions you're locked to almost go to the finals. But at the same time, you have this: are you really that good?
Yeah,
and most coaches don't survive. I think Spoelstra is the only coach who, when he didn't have LeBron afterwards, had a winning record. Yeah. So he's really the only one who survived and came out of it with his reputation, still there. So he won 128 games to 83 losses. That's a good record. He took the Cavs to 3 straight finals and that one championship win in 2016. So it's not like he's a terrible coach, but at the same time, they have started the season pretty awfully. Yeah. But we kind of expected that, and there seems to be a gap between reality and what Dan Gilbert thinks this team should be, because they seem to think they should be still making the playoffs, but right now, just looking at this team, they're not even close.
No. You see that? Is their vision skewed? If you take LeBron out of the picture in the last 10 years, how dysfunctional is this Cavs team? Like, are they up there?
The whole organisation is dysfunctional. Look at the owner, Dan Gilbert. Don't get me started.
The Kings get a lot of that, being like the tag of the dysfunctional team. But are the Cavs like a bit closer to them? Like, I know they've won the championship.
I think they're passing the torch.
Passing the torch.
If they didn't draft the best player in the world, they'd be still a mess. Look what happened when he left the first time.
Yeah.
They were a basket case, and they drafted
Kyrie.
Apart from Kyrie, that was their one hit. The rest was Bennett and
Thompson.
Yeah,
arguably,
it was just a mess.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, as much as Ty Lue will be sad he's lost his job, to be perfectly honest.
If I was him, this team's gonna cop so many L's this year. You do not want that on your record. Yeah, because if he went through the season, copped all the losses, his respect level will go down. He might not be able to get another job.
Yeah.
Whereas now he only lost 6 games and he can take his money and go and
Yep, exactly. He does take his bag with him. They had, talking about the Cavs, they had the worst defense so far through the first 6 games. They've given up 110 points in every game except versus the Nets when they gave up 102. They let the Hawks put up 133 on them, a team they face again today. That was a game where Trey had 35 points as well. And again, in a league we keep talking about trending towards pace and space, they're the 4th slowest in pace. And last year, the Cavs attempted the 5th most threes in the league. This year, they're second last for 3-pointers attempted. So they're going away from everything that successful teams are doing. And then on top of that, we've got the injury to Kevin Love to that toe, which is looking like it could be a month, which could hurt his draft stock. It's a bit late for that. Could hurt his trade stock, which moving into that now, should they fire sale some of these assets? Because Kevin Love's 30. They clearly need to focus on Colin Sexton, these kind of Larry Nance, Osman, these kind of players.
That's not a great deal there, though.
I know, but at the same time, what's the point of having Kevin Love around? You might as well bottom out. I'm sure somebody could use some shooting. Lakers and Thunder would take a Kyle Korver, for example. I think there are pieces there that could be moved.
Yeah.
But do you do it? Do you try and fire sale it now, or do you look to do it? Would you wait till Kevin Love got back and he's, at least healthy?
I think they'll most likely wait till the deadline.
Yeah.
Because it just makes the most sense, and teams will be really looking to make moves and probably looking to maybe overpay for some of these players. You look at a guy like George Hill. He'd be really good for, I don't know who's going to be in the playoff picture at the time, but a playoff team looking for a bit of veteran leadership. Just guys like that, and then a guy like Kevin Love can push a team over the edge, I reckon.
I mean, Kevin Love hasn't had a great start to the season, even before the injuries. He wasn't shooting very well. But let's be honest, this guy can be the 3rd best player on a championship team.
And
We've seen it.
That's the thing. He's being forced into a situation where he's meant to be the best player on this team, and he's the number 1. So he's getting a lot more attention from defenses, whereas if he goes to a playoff contending team, he's going to be the 2nd or 3rd guy, and that works really well for him.
Yep, and we've already seen that if he is that 2nd or 3rd guy, it's good enough. We always talk about what kind we talked about with Jimmy Butler. Are you a number 1? Are you a number 2? Yeah. Kevin Love can clearly be a number 3, and you can win a championship.
And he has no problem slotting into that role.
Exactly. He knows his role. He's not trying to be the alpha dog. We don't have the Kyrie issue of I want to be number 1. So I think for a team that's just about there around the mix, he'll be really interesting come that deadline in February. And Korver as well, I think there'd be someone who might bite with him. But it's going to be ugly for the Cavs for most of the season, I'd say. I don't think they're going to win too many games. Roll out the tanks already. All right, talking about a team that's been very disappointing to start with, Houston, do we have a problem? The Rockets are 1-4, and as is tradition with this podcast, every time we talk about a team that's doing poorly and they have a game on the same day, they'll probably be amazing today and absolutely smash the Trailblazers, and everything we said will look stupid. But as of the time of recording, they are 1-4. Now, a lot of it can be put down to the fact that Chris Paul missed the games through suspension. James Harden has missed games with a hamstring injury. He's probably going to miss against Portland as well. They've had Ennis miss games, Nene, Brandon Knight, Marquise Chris. So they've had a lot of injuries, or are there more underlying issues that are a bigger problem?
Defense. It's a basket case. Absolute basket case on defense. They were the 6th best in the league last year. I don't even know what they are now, but
28th.
There you go.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. That Pelicans game, Davis and whatnot had a red carpet to the basket.
And that is the thing. It's a great point you bring up with Davis, because what Houston does and what they did last year, which was so successful, was they switch everything. Everything is a switch. It doesn't matter what. But if you're not on point, everybody's communicating, everybody knows their role, that just doesn't work. And we saw AD in that first game, the amount of times he got a switch onto one of their, point guards or shooting guards, and it's just too easy because he's way too tall and way too talented. So
but you talk about AD. Montrezl Harrell dropped 30 on the Rockets.
Well, they gave up.
AD's going to drop whatever he wants.
Exactly. So last year, they gave up 130-plus points only once, which was in a double OT game against the Lakers. And in regulation, it wasn't above 130. In the first 5 games, they've given it up twice. So to the Pelicans, and then 133 versus the Clippers. And I'm a little bit biased. This Clippers team is sneaky good, but they're not the kind of team that you should be allowed to put up 133 points. And on top of that, they had, I think Montrezl had 30, but the numbers that were in double figures was ridiculous. It was just waltzing through their defense.
All the big guys seem to be getting their way with Houston.
Yep, exactly. So they've got big issues. Do you think a lot of it comes down to, I cannot pronounce his name for the life of me, but so last year, their associate head coach, Jeff Bzdelik or something like that.
Sorry, Jeff.
Bzdelik, if you want to Google it. He was in control of that defense and he retired at the start of this year. Do you think that maybe we talked about the loss of Ariza and Barmute, but is he one of the biggest losses as well? Or I want to hear this because you're the one who he predicted they're going to win it all. You've been on the bandwagon for a long time. Are you concerned?
We're 6 games in. Come on. Yeah. 5 games for the Rockets.
I still think they're going to take time. I think it's been a bit of a continuity issue. And as you spoke about earlier, it's just missing different players through injuries and Chris Paul getting suspended. Like, it's not ideal.
Eric Gordon shooting terribly as well. 23% from 3.
There's just, it kind of seems to be everything that could go wrong for Houston right now is going wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just forcing them into losing games. There's no excuse for the defensive side of the ball because, as we saw last season, they can do it, and they've got a bulk of the roster back. Like, it's only Ariza and Barmute really that have left.
Yeah.
There's still that starting lineup, and then guys like Gerald Green, PJ Tucker are still on the roster. So it's like they've still got
the core.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be incorporating those last few guys that have just jumped onto the roster, the Michael Carter Williams, the Mallow. It's just going to be incorporating them, and then I just don't really know what to think of this Rockets team at the moment. I still think they're talented enough to make a very deep playoff run, and I really hope that they can win the championship. But it doesn't look good at the moment.
No, and this is the thing with Houston. It's not a matter of are they going to sort it out, because I'm sure when you have Chris Paul and James Harden on your team, you're going to sort it out. They will sort it out eventually. It's not a matter of sorting it out. It's a matter of can we compete with the Warriors again in a 7-game series like we did last season.
Do they have to have that number 1 seed for it?
That's the question, which right now they're starting a long way back with that 1-4 start. Yeah.
Can I ask, do you think Jimmy Butler fixes some of Houston's defensive issues?
So, Houston offered 4 first-round picks.
Over 7 years, I think it was?
Yeah. They wouldn't have a first-round pick till 2025 if this came through. What do you think of that?
I think it's putting all your eggs in one basket.
But swinging for the fence.
I think at the end of the day, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'd do it.
Now,
because you can get Jimmy Butler and play him and James Harden. Butler's able to cover James Harden offensively. Yeah. And Harden got a lot better last year on the defensive side of the ball.
He's not as a liability as he was.
So it's just
less Shaq than a full moment.
it's I think it's a good trade because
apparently the Wolves want
Eric Gordon as well. Yeah. See, the thing is, the Rockets are already putting all their eggs in one basket because with that CP3 deal, it's back-ended. So, and with how old he's going to be towards the end, like they're paying for the next 1 or 2 years. Yeah. This is their window. They know that. So, 2025 to not have a pick until then in the first round is bad. But to be perfectly honest,
you're winning.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you get a shot
at 4 picks anyway.
Exactly. That's it. They're going to be end of first round. So if you get your shot, I think Jimmy can help. And I think that who knows how he'd work with CP3. He can be slightly demonstrative, but I mean, we weren't sure how CP3 and Harden were going to work, and they figured it out.
Yes, Stars usually work it out.
Yeah.
CP3 is a hard worker, and Jimmy Butler is the same. So I don't think they'll clash because they both dogs, as Stephen A. like to say. Yeah. So I think there'd be no issues there. The only reason Jimmy has problems with Cat is for being lazy. Yeah. That's where the issues arise.
Yeah, I think it's a huge roll of the dice, and who knows? I don't know if giving up Eric Gordon as well, that's starting to really push
that's
with the full first rounders.
Exactly, especially he was like that 6th man candidate, and he has been. He's struggling 9 of 39 from 3 to start the year, but we know what he can do, and he'll get out of that slump eventually. But yeah, right now that defense isn't looking good, and Ariza and Barmute logged just over 3,800 minutes for them last season. They got to find a way to get these other guys to fill it. Now, Ennis has missed games with that hamstring, which they'd hope for him to be there as well. But Carter Williams is about 20% from 3. That's all he's ever been. I don't think he's going to fix that up anytime soon. Melo started versus the Clippers, led their scoring with 24. He's been okay. He's averaging 14 points on 36% from three. It's not horrific, but there's certainly some areas to work through. As I said, they do have the Blazers today. They have the Nets, the Bulls, the Pacers, and the Thunder. So they're going to be fine. It's just if they're going to be fine to compete with the Warriors come playoff time. All right, moving on to Jimmy Butler's team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. What do we make of the Minnesota Timberwolves? They're really confusing because you watched them yesterday against the Lakers. Cat has 25 points, 16 boards, 6 assists, 4 blocks. Jimmy has 32 points, 5 triples in the last quarter, and you go, this team's really good.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Wiggins playing either. Like this team's got so much potential.
They get flogged by the Bucks.
Yep. And then you've got games where Cat just does not look himself at all. Where are we with this team?
I've never been a big fan of Cat. I don't think he is a piece that will take a franchise to a championship.
Just because he doesn't have that killer mentality, that alpha?
Yeah.
He's got the talent, but
he's got the
killer
talent.
I
instinct
was
is
high
not
on
there.
him,
Yeah.
but now I couldn't be further away from that bandwagon.
Yeah, I think he's...
Just all because of the mental side of it? Or
I think so. We've seen the best players in NBA history and the best players in the league right now are the ones that have that killer instinct.
Yep.
And they just know how to win.
Yeah.
And Cat's only winning because of Jimmy Butler.
Yep. Well, that Lakers game was a perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, Cat was good, but down the stretch, it was Jimmy who straight out just snatched
It's
away
a bit
from the Lakers.
like it's a different scale, but how good DeMarcus Cousins was the first couple of years of his career with Sacramento.
Yeah.
He can put up monster stat
But it's
lines
not
for days, but
influencing.
it doesn't have an influence on the result.
Yep. No, I agree with
Apparently,
that.
Jimmy Butler switched sides in training session once and played with the bench and beat the starters.
Jimmy's done a lot of things, and
So
apparently it was
what does
slightly-
that show you?
Yeah. I mean, clearly there's been a whole lot of off-the-court drama. That was when he went to training and he was abusing Cat, and then he stormed out afterwards and did an interview with Rachel Nichols straight away,
this
which
is
is
what
a little
shows
bit
me-
coincidental.
If
but
I was Cat, I'd be
Yeah.
going back at him because he was saying some words
Yeah.
like, "Where's your?"
where's your motor? And
Stand
this
up
is the
for
question
yourself,
for
yeah.
Cat, because 2 years ago, he was averaging 25 points per game. He was one of the brightest young stars in the comp. Fell down to 21 last year, which we were like, it's going to happen because Jimmy comes in, you lose a few more shots.
Yeah.
Then the playoffs happened when he was just hopeless against Houston, and Capella completely took him out of that series. And at the moment, he's averaging 16 points per game. He's only cracked 20 in 2 of his 7 games, so he's only had really 2 decent games. And just little things like he took a 3, then missed it, airballed it, and then asked to be taken out of the game, puts his hand up, and we'll put it now, so volume up for this part.
Towns for 3, leaves it well short.
It's time to get G in the game.
And just when you say it, G gets up off the bench.
Cat just has that look in his face like he doesn't want to play tonight.
That's the Wolves commentator, and in the background, the Wolves commentator is saying he doesn't want to play right now, and he's got that look in his face.
And those home commentators, they are so biased.
Exactly,
So for him
and
to throw
they're
that out
going
there,
that he doesn't look like he wants to play.
like 5 games in, 4 games into the season.
The problem is they're stuck with him now.
Well, they just 5-year extension. They clearly see this is where there's kind of 2 different agendas. The Timberwolves have clearly said Cat is the future, Jimmy is not. That's very clear the decision they made. But Tibbs has clearly, from what everything seems like, Tibbs wants Butler because Tibbs knows that the clock hands are getting
his
very
guy.
close to 12 o'clock, and if he gets rid of Butler, they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year, and he's probably going to get fired.
Yeah.
So we're at a standstill.
The
of-
shine wears off of Tibbs.
Yeah. Well, it's been wearing off for quite a while now, but yeah, they've got some issues. And Jimmy,
Do you know who has been very good for Minnesota?
Okogie?
And no, Derrick Rose.
yeah, he has been quite
I've
good.
been
Low-key
very
been pretty
impressed.
good. Yeah.
And he'd almost be a 6 Man of the Year candidate at the
He
moment.
said he
because-
wanted to
Yeah, he
be,
said he
didn't he?
wants
Yeah.
it. And he's had a great season so far and a bit of a shining light, but yeah, it just doesn't help a lot.
Yeah. And Okogie as
yeah.
well, who was picked 20 by the T-Wolves. He's been playing 25 plus minutes, so he's getting a lot of opportunity. He's been pretty good. He was good against the Lakers as well. But yeah, right now, it's just so confusing because they don't seem too demonstrative on court. If you watch Jimmy and Cat on court, they don't seem to be glaring, huge, we can't play together because we're going to punch each other in the face issues. But it does seem slightly untenable that the two are going to stay together, and it seems likely that Jimmy's going to walk if they don't trade him anyway. So who knows? It's an interesting one, but they're just confusing. I mean, they said they're 3-4. They're beating the Cavs, Pacers, and Lakers. Lost to the Spurs, Mavs, Raptors, and Bucks, and especially against the Bucks as well. They just got pummeled. So there are some clear issues, and Cat is quite concerning. And we didn't even get to touch on Wiggins, which talk about concerning. Andrew Wiggins, 101.
Not foul anybody here on the dribble. It's going to be James. Here it is. James under 3 seconds to go. Throws up the floater. Good night, Cleveland. That is for you.
All right, new segment on the clock. We are going to put a minute on the timer, and we're going to run through 6 of the hottest topics in the league, nice and quick. Jed, we're going to start with you. Who is the Celtics' main man?
Right now, Marcus Morris. He shot 7-11.
Marcus Morris.
7 for 11,
All
three-point
right.
range. He hit the game winner against OKC on
He did hit the
Friday.
game winner.
No, in all honesty, Kyrie Irving, he stepped out of LeBron's shadow to be the number one guy on a team. Unfortunately
This
now,
season, though,
he's being overshadowed by a 20-year-old
This is the main question.
Jason Tatum, cementing himself as almost like the Jimmy Butler Towns scenario, now or the future. Tatum's averaging 17 points and 8 boards.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Kyrie Irving, though. His shooting struggles. He'll be there. He's the guy. Coming off knee surgery, so he'll be a little rusty in the off-season. But, Kyrie Irving is and will be the man to go to for this Celtics team.
And I think as well, if you just look at it, I mean, we've got, when he left the Cavs, he wanted to be the main man, which was always been an issue for him. And he seems so far, I mean, against the Pistons, he had 3 points from 5 shots.
Yeah.
That's not the Kyrie who left LeBron because he wanted to be the number one main man.
Yeah.
But it's looked like Tatum has at times, but then Kyrie's looked at times. It's just a bit confusing. Celtics are 4-2. They're playing the Pistons as we speak right now. Their defense is brilliant. Offense is having some big issues, and it's that feeling out process right now.
Yeah.
We thought it was really clear that Kyrie comes back, Kyrie and Gordon come back, and Brown and Tatum are going to have to take a back seat. But right now, there's a bit of a fight between Tatum and Kyrie for who wants that number one spot, which...
The young
going to be,
bloods.
it's going to be interesting. All right, Jared, did we underestimate the Pistons heading into the season? Everyone, by saying that, did the three of us, by you, underestimate the Pistons coming into the season?
Yes and no. I think the Pistons are still a playoff team, and I'm very hopeful that they're going to be a playoff team. But at the same time, I don't think they're anywhere close to challenging the top teams in the East. It's been an interesting start to the season because starting off 4-0 against some up and down teams like the Philadelphia game, that was the best team that the Pistons beat, but they had to do it in overtime, and the Philly
Blake
were
had
without
to drop 50
Philly
as well.
were without Ben Simmons as well. So it's kind of mixed signals from the Pistons early on this season. There's a lot of lineup changes that probably need to happen because there's just some real interesting changes from Dwayne Casey, like Langston Galloway playing 25 minutes a game and jacking up horrendous shots, whereas you've got a guy like Glenn Robinson sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
There's a few things that need to happen to the Pistons to get that little bit better, but I still think they're a playoff team.
I like it. Brownie, how are we feeling about the Lakers 1 week later?
I'm in the middle
When
at the
it
moment.
starts with a sigh, you know.
a sigh. There's games against the Nuggets where you go, here we go.
Yeah.
And then yesterday against the Timberwolves, they served up that. So, but it's early, and LeBron's still feeling out his teammates and seeing how they work together.
Yeah.
But that game against the Timberwolves and against the Spurs as well, LeBron sat back and went passive. And that's the most frustrating thing about LeBron. That's the only thing I've got on him is that he, in clutch moments,
can get
a
bit
bit passive.
Distributor more than taking the shot himself. It's the defense They're the bottom 3 in terms of points conceded per game, and then also making your shots. They're taking the 9th most threes, but only 5 teams are shooting the worst from 3-point range. So
need to get some shooters.
They're not a team of shooters.
Yep, but Lonzo has started the last 2. Hasn't been great in the last 2 games, but he started over Rondo. So
he did well against the Nuggets, to be honest.
Yep,
did really well.
They've been there in pretty much every game. It's just down the stretch,
just finishing.
Yeah, exactly, and also executing the half court. That's where they're going downhill on the fast break.
You can't stop them, but when it's half court sets,
that's when the problems start to come up. Jed, have the 76ers' natural growth and progression come to a standstill? Has the hype finally caught up with the Sixers?
It's not a standstill. I'd liken it to growing pains the Sixers are experiencing. Good. Fultz is still a rookie.
Yep.
He took a big step back last year, so he'll probably need a couple seasons.
Did he take any steps forward to start with?
No, but from his college career. So he needs a couple seasons under his belt before we realise, is he a bust? What is he going to be? The thing that concerns me is before Philly can take the next step is Ben Simmons' jump shot.
Yeah.
It's Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz as well. Because Markelle Fultz is shying away from jump shots as well. So
yeah.
He's got his one little elbow jumper that he likes, but
and that
apart
shoulder
from that,
was meant to be right and ready to go. Yeah, but teams just do not respect Ben Simmons at all. They turn their back to him when he has the ball on offense.
On the perimeter.
It'd be a nightmare for spacing.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid's great. They're probably pretty lucky that he can be a threat to shoot.
Yeah.
Because it would just destroy their spacing.
Yeah. And that is the thing. Their spacing is such. If you just watch their post-up movements, if you watch other teams do it, there's so much movement going on. Yeah. The Pelicans at the moment are a great example. You watch AD in the post, there's cutters everywhere, all over the place. With the 76ers, it's just so stagnant. It's just Embiid standing there or Simmons standing there, and eventually someone makes a cut. There's no movement to it. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think I like the growing pains analogy. That's good. Jared. Every year, the Wizards seem to be on the verge of imploding. It's a circus. It's been a circus for the last couple of seasons, but they still managed to make the playoffs 4 of the last 5 years. Is this the season they bottom out and maybe split up Beal and Wall?
I don't think it's Beal and Wall that need to be split up.
Yeah.
I think the player they need to get rid of, and it's going to be hard for them, is Otto Porter.
Yep.
because Kelly Oubre is kind of is the best small forward on that roster so far this season.
Against the Clippers, he was awful.
Otto Porter can turn it on, but he doesn't do it enough, and they're paying him way too much.
He's averaging under 10 points this game on 21% from 3. And they're paying him $26 million.
It's not a good look.
$26 million.
Yeah, it's really bad for the Wizards, but I think John Wall has had a little bit of a slower start to the season compared to what we've seen in previous years, but I think him and Beal work really well together. I think they signed Dwight Howard in the offseason, didn't they?
He hasn't played yet.
Yeah, he hasn't played yet.
It could get even worse.
Well, I think it'll get better with him. I think a big man. I think you look at the big men on their roster right now.
Mahimi,
Markieff Morris, Jan Mahimi, Jason Smith. Like Dwight Howard is a better player than all those guys. So I think he helps a lot.
He's also a massive pain in the bum, which is what he also has.
I think he'll help.
Okay, you think he'll help. Yeah. Fair enough. And I'd say Wall and Beal work together in terms of the points they put on the board. I don't know how well they work together in terms of are we friends or not. That's still to be decided.
I was going to run with the Wizards as my cold, still am, but they've been out-rebounded by at least 11 rebounds in all 6 of their games.
Dwight can help with that.
He brings that.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
It helps.
Good. You shut me up, Jed. I like it. All right, Brownie. Both the Pelicans and Utah Jazz have both gotten off to strong starts. They're 4-2 at the time of recording. If you were the coach of the team, you got to pick one of them, and you were taking them into the playoffs, who would you take? Who do you think will do more damage come playoffs, assuming they both make it?
This is a torn decision because New Orleans has a superstar, possible MVP, but I feel the Jazz has got a better overall team.
System,
So I'm very torn because in the playoffs, a superstar can take you to so far, but then the system, that's where it's weighing up. For me, I've got to take the superstar. I've got to take Davis.
Oh, all right. Wow.
He's just, I reckon this year he's looking to take his game to the next level. The only question is if he just needs one teammate just to show up a little bit, and I think that can make some damage.
Yep, they've been looking really good. I mean, Mirotic started out dropping 30 every game. He's cooled off a bit. Julius Randle looks all right. Alfred Payton even looks half decent, even though you don't know who he is anymore because his long hair's gone. He's missed the last couple with injuries, but he's looked good. And then Drew's Drew. So they got a lot of pieces, but at the same time, the Jazz.
It's a very
good
team.
The Jazz are good. Quickly, would you take, if you just had just one word, would you take the Pelicans or the Jazz if you had the chance to coach either of them heading into playoffs?
Jazz, but Quinn Snyder's been so good.
Yeah, he has been.
He deserves a lot of the credit for the Jazz.
I say Jazz.
You'd say Jazz.
No one taking the superstar MVP.
Yeah, I'd go Jazz.
Or possible
just
MVP.
Jazz, just. But I'm very tempted. I like
the
your call,
opportunity
Brownie.
to coach AD.
I'm not confident at all by any stretch. I just think that defense of the Jazz is good enough, and we might get to go Bears offense later as well. But
like you'd take AD if you had the chance to build around
oh
him
yeah,
again.
well AD's clearly the best player.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the two teams, AD's clearly number one. Another new segment. We're bringing up lots of new segments this week, hot and cold. So one player or team who has been hot over the last week and one who has been not so hot or cold. Brownie, kick us off with your hot.
Well, I got Jimmy Butler who stunned the Lakers.
How many triples in the last quarter?
5, yeah. He had 32.6 rebounds and surprisingly 4 assists, considering that there's a bit of beef there. So I'm a bit surprised. He had 60% from the field.
Yeah.
So a good night for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully a good try for possibly going to the Lakers or maybe Houston. We'll see what happens.
No, he single-handedly stole that game from the Lakers with those 3 balls. Jed?
I'm going with the Bucks. 7-0.
The last undefeated team.
Yeah, the easy one too. The best start to a season in franchise history. Yeah. They ranked 9th on offense, 2nd on defense. They have that win over the Raptors,
and that was without Giannis.
Yes,
but now the Raptors didn't have Kawhi. But still, like if you took those 2 out, you'd say the Raptors would win.
They still run deep. Yeah. But they've led every game by at least 16 points. Yeah. So they are throttling teams.
They are absolutely destroying teams. I like it, Jared.
Rudy Gobert. Yeah. I think he's been absolutely amazing. As much as the stifled tower, he's been great on offense the last couple of games. Over his last 2 games, averaging 24 and 15 with 3.5 blocks. And for a team that's got the firepower of Donovan Mitchell and even Joe Ingles at times, he's not the guy I've been expecting to drop 24 points a game. So if he keeps that up, it kind of adds a whole new dimension to Utah's offense while still him being able to play defense, and it just raises them to another level. Yep,
it's something we weren't expecting. It's not something you bank on coming into the season, but so far he's been very good. All right, my hot is the Sacramento Kings. Now, as of the time of recording, if you add up the wins from the Lakers, the Rockets, and the Thunder, they have the same amount of wins as the Kings do. So, look, it's early. That's probably not going to stay that way. But this is a team that's been a laughing stock, as we said, for most of the time. If the Cavs are taking the torch of the most dysfunctional, they're definitely taking it from the Kings. But this season, they've been really, really good. They were the 2nd slowest team in the league last year in terms of pace. They've adopted this new age NBA, and right now, they're the 2nd fastest in the league. They're getting 12 more possessions per game out of each contest, which has been huge, especially for De'Aaron Fox, which doesn't come as a surprise because he's a John Wall, Russell Westbrook level player in terms of he's going to downhill the whole time. He's averaging 18 points per game, 7 assists and a steal and a half. Still got some room for improvement on that 3 ball, just 23% from 3, but he looks really good in his 2nd year. There was a lot of people who said, after his 1st year, but really good to start his 2nd. Buddy Hield, Willie Cauley-Stein, both averaging career highs across the board. Bagley and Giles have been all right without starring, but that's still room for improvement. Bielitsa as well has been really, really good. He's only scored under double digits once so far, and that's all of that without Bogdan Bogdanovic, who was probably their most promising rookie last year. So when they add him back into the mix as well, which is hoping to come back mid-November, not bad from Sacramento. I am impressed. And another one just to throw in there, Zach LaVine. 29 points per game, 5th most in the league. Who would have saw that coming? All right, cold, Brownie.
The Bulls.
Talking about Zach LaVine, the other side of the ball.
They lost by 25 to the Warriors, allowed them to score 149 points. That's
They also
God
92 points in the half, which was the second most points ever scored in a half.
And they allowed Clay to get the
Yeah,
3-point record and score 52 points.
Yep.
If someone's shooting
On
that
Greg
many
Levine.
threes, just hack him.
Just hack him.
Please. Like you can't let someone do that to you. It's a bit disrespectful.
It's a bit
And,
disrespectful.
like if I was on opposition and seeing
Spear tackle.
them running around, having a laugh, taking the absolute, what
Well,
out
it just
of
turned
you.
into an all-star contest of get Clay the ball and see how many he can knock
It's-
down.
Some of these lower teams just send your bench player out and just take him out.
All
That's
right.
it. Like, do you see him at the
Sport Dot does
see
not
him at-
condone Brownie's views.
You see him in New York, like when they played the Knicks. That was ridiculous too. It just
Yeah.
get ridiculous. The league's done.
The league's
League's
done.
done.
All right, Jed, you're cold.
Similar reasons. I had the Wizards. They got absolutely mauled by the Warriors too. Except it wasn't Clay. It was Steph Curry. They've opened their season 1-5 for a perennial playoff team, as we've said. But in that game against the Warriors, they had 3 turnovers with all chances to tie or take the lead in that game in the final 30 seconds. It's
ugly.
It's a poor start for the Wizards.
The other thing I'd say about the Wizards is I watched them versus the Clippers, and they just don't look like John Wall doesn't even look like he's really trying, to be perfectly honest. There was one occasion where he dribbled it off his foot. It was just a mistake, but he just stood there and watched it. And Avery Bradley dived on the floor and got the ball, but there was he just kind of dribbled it and was like, oh, okay. There was no instinct to I want this ball, this is my ball, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
They're not there
A little
right
bit
now.
like the Timberwolves.
Yeah, but outside of Jimmy, of
Yeah.
course. All right, Jared, you're hot.
My hot.
Oh, sorry, you've already done your hot. You're cold. My bad.
Well, I was going to say this before I realised we were talking about them, but Eric Gordon, his outside shooting, it's been a bit
Bad.
off for the start of this season. I think it was 9 of 39.
Yeah, 9 for 39.
For the start of the year.
23%.
So was Clay's before.
That was going to be my cold before he went.
Hopefully there's a Klay Thompson game in him. And it comes
think
back
he'll
soon.
be right.
And as I said before, I think he'll be right, and it'll be all good for Houston.
Yep, I was going to go with Clay because he'd only made 5 of his first 33 balls before that game, but he's definitely not cold anymore, so I'm going to go with kind of a left field one, Harrison Barnes. Now, he missed the first 4 games of the season with a hamstring injury. He's played in the last 3. He's averaging just 13 points on 36% field goal, 21% from 3. His last game was a bit better, but overall he's been pretty poor. It's more the fact that they brought him in as their number 1 man. They paid him the big bucks. He's making $24 million a season, and it's Luka's team already. From everything I can see, Luka's really the number 1, and then even Dennis Smith Jr. is more the number 2. So, yeah, it's a bit disappointing that Barnes, he's one of those guys who's just on the edge of being able to be at 20 plus points. He was averaging just under 20 points per game for the Mavs in 2016. He's just not quite there yet. And now I don't know if he'll get that chance because I think he had his chance in the first couple of years with the Mavs. Now probably not. So cold start for Harrison Barnes. All right, our Aussies in action this week. We're going to kick it off with Simmons because he's clearly our best, so we're just going to start with him every week. So Simmons, Brownie.
Nearly had a triple-double against Atlanta in their win.
Yep.
21 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. 14 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists in a close win against Charlotte.
Yep.
And a triple-double in a loss to the Bucks, which he had 14 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, and he's yet to shoot a 3. 3 update.
Yep. 3 update, 0. So not great, but yeah, the numbers. I mean, he's just going to do that every game.
Just a walk-in triple-double, but he needs to up his shoot. If he had a jump shot, he'd be averaging 30.
Yeah.
10 and 10.
The thing is, I think he had 15 in the third quarter yesterday. So he can score.
Yeah.
It's
He's just so passive sometimes. It's
Yeah.
just like he doesn't have that. I'm going to get to the rim right now. Ingles.
He's been a bit slower compared to
Fallen
his
off
start
a bit,
to the
yeah.
season, but still playing his role for Utah. He's over the last week, he's averaged about 10 points, but still 5 or 6 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. So still kind of doing everything, but I'd like to see a bit more scoring from Joe.
Yep. Exum.
Dante played 16 minutes against the Mavericks, registered 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal and a block. So probably a pretty good all-round performance from him. His shooting was a little suspect, as we've all expected. He wasn't drafted for his shooting, but he's tracking well, earning solid minutes considering past seasons.
Yep, go back-to-back. Paddy Mills.
Paddy Mills is
No game winners this week.
No, unfortunately not. He's logging in a lot of minutes. I think he's playing a lot more. Well, not a lot more, but he's earning more minutes than Bryn Forbes, despite being on the bench.
Coming off the bench.
So he played 34 minutes yesterday, but had just 10 points, 3 boards, 2 assists.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to be translating to the stat sheet for Paddy.
Yep. No, it is really interesting your Ginobili point now. He's starting to seem like he's coming off the bench.
Because he's better than Bryn Forbes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just
offensively, I reckon. Not sure. But yeah, no, it's certainly a good point. All right, Don Maker.
He finally got minutes.
Oh, we don't have a donut in the first.
We actually got some minutes. He didn't play against Philly, but he had 12 minutes, 8 points in those 12 minutes, and 4 rebounds.
Not bad.
In a win against Minnesota.
Yep.
And then 6 minutes, the big minutes
big
against
minutes.
Magic. I would have thought he had more than 6 minutes, but when you're playing the Magic, but anyway, and he only got 3 rebounds. I don't know what.
Yeah,
not
bad,
much.
not bad. All right, Delhi.
And then Toronto, he had 23 minutes. That was a mega game.
There we go.
11.7 rebounds,
He
2
would have needed
assists.
a
That
nap
was his
after
best
that.
game of the, This is his best game of the year
So
so
with
far.
no Giannis, he's the Giannis replacement.
He is the Giannis replacement. Well, at least Don finally got some action.
Yeah.
All right, Delhi didn't play against the 76ers, had 10 minutes and 6 points and 3 assists against the Timberwolves, 6 minutes against the Magic, and 4 minutes against the Raptors. Unfortunately for Delhi, they were all blowout games. He's only going to get minutes if it's a blowout, it seems. So it's a bit unfortunate for Delhi, but yeah, looked decent in blowout games, but nothing to write home about. Brokoff.
Yeah, only played
his
4
name
minutes.
right.
Only played the 4 minutes against Atlanta. 1 rebound. That was it. Hasn't played since then.
Yep, and Bainesy's still out with that hamstring injury.
He's actually playing against Detroit right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we have a stats update?
No, I don't have a stat update.
Stats update.
I'll get it in a second. But I was just watching a second ago, and he did go down with what looked like a foot or ankle injury.
Oh, great.
So it's not looking good for Baines, but I think he did come back on the court, and he's still out there. So.
All right, well, that is all our Aussies. I don't think I missed anyone. I haven't forgot Paddy Thrills this week. All right, that is all our Aussies wrapped up. We're going to get into our top plays and our weird and wacky moments. All right, we're going to get into our top plays of the week, but first, we just didn't realise what has Bainesy done so far.
So he's played 5 minutes for the Celtics. It's currently just start of the second quarter. He's got 9 points, leading the scorers for the Celtics. 2 rebounds. He's 3 of 3 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. So Bainesy is back.
Is he the main man?
Yeah,
it's done. Forget everything we said earlier. All right, we're going to get into our top plays of the week.
And the first play this week, Blake Griffin, huge dunk over Joel Embiid, on his way to 50 points.
No flopping on that one.
Yeah, we'll see later in the game. But here, a fake pass off the traditional Dwayne Casey play, and one for the win in overtime against Philly, and 50 points for Blake.
Not bad. And knocks down the free throw, which I don't think he was only 4 of 10 at that point, so it was no certainty. So big game from Blake.
Here's my man, Kawhi Leonard, showing off his defensive capabilities. Another Defensive Player of the Year award coming his way. Look at the vision. Look at the awareness.
Steal.
No look, dive.
And
now I got Anthony Davis, the freight train, bang. Get the hell out of the way. No, look at the
Jared
defenders.
Allen is absolutely poster on.
Deer and headlights right there.
He tried. God. He tried. That's all we can say for poor Jared Allen. All right, Klay Thompson, as we said, in a complete slump, 5 of 30 heading into this game. Just a nice little 14 three-pointers. Took Steph's record of 13. This was his 14th triple to take the record. 52 points in 3 quarters.
Klay.
Headband Klay is just too good.
Look, it's no 14 three-pointers, but Steph Curry hit a lazy 11 of them.
Threw it on the roof.
In this
hit
game.
The roof, I reckon.
Bradley Beal said all you can do to stop him is foul him, and in this case they fouled him.
They did. And
they
he kept
couldn't.
going.
He still hit the shot.
He still hit it anyway.
It won't count, but yeah. That's just amazing.
He
Amazing.
does
layout
that.
from
The thing
Curry.
is, he does that in his warm-up routines, but to like actually
Yeah.
do it, I mean, it
That
didn't
was the
count.
highest
but-
I've ever seen him throw it up.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. He was in his zone that night. He had 11 threes that night, so he was certainly in the zone. And if you're hitting that shot, then it's game over. I mean, the Warriors are just in the last 4 games. They've had Steph go for 51 against the Warriors, KD go for 41 against the Knicks, 25 in the fourth quarter, and then Clay go for 52 and 14 threes against the Bulls.
But then,
And in the other game, I think Steph had 35 and Durant had 33.
yeah, it's almost like the guy who's not getting the big numbers is still so efficient.
Yeah.
They're only putting up like 10 shots and
Yeah.
they're dropping 25 plus.
Yep, that was like, I think
crazy.
Steph had like 7 of 9 and 23 points.
23 points,
When
yeah.
Clay had 52. It's like, they're
So damn efficient.
it's ridiculous. It's so unfair, but we're not going to get into that. All right, we're going to finish it off with our weird and wacky moments. All right, we have some elite athletes in the NBA, and Nikola Jokic is not
Look at
one
that
of them.
stride.
As he sprints down the tunnel. And then for the Nets, they had this win locked up. All D'Angelo Russell had to hold on to the ball and get fouled. Instead, he tries a no-look pass to Karis LeVert, which goes out of bounds, and Drew Holiday went and hit the game winner.
Here are the Warriors throwing some shade on Fergie's absolute disaster of a national anthem performance in the finals last season.
And
The disrespect.
It's pretty lit. Pretty lit.
oh, Brownie. Yeah, not a bad remix. They're certainly enjoying it. You're going well when you can just spend your post games doing this instead of looking at that.
Well, they
game
Probably at
Game
halftime,
film.
that one.
Man, we got Lance doing Lance things in this game against the
The
Lakers.
Skyhook.
I mean, against the Nuggets.
McGee.
Just some great ball handling there.
Here we go.
You had him.
Okay.
Little spin. Oh, my God. This is bad.
Oh, I love
Lance.
those too. All right, this is, I have no idea who this is, but it's the worst, most delayed flop of all time. He acts like he's been shot about 10 minutes after he gets
It's like,
hit in the
I've
ball.
just been hit with the ball. Oh,
I should
better fall.
probably react right now. That is a brilliant flop. I don't know who it is, but someone give him a contract. That is for sure.
And finally, we're going to farewell Ty Lue from the NBA head coaching ranks.
Well, here we go.
Just having a bit of trouble in the post-match press conference. Goes for the drink from the frozen drink bottle
Twice in
and
a row.
then has someone just take the drink away
Yeah,
and
it's
get it
all
away
right.
from
It's
him.
all right, Ty.
And it wouldn't be a Ty Lue clip without the Allen Iverson step over.
Moment.
It's been a
you
horrible week for
tried.
Ty Lue,
Yeah.
but we're going to bring this one back. It's one of the greatest moments in NBA
Just
history.
rub it in a bit more.
Rub it in a little bit. Poor Ty Lue getting absolutely murdered by Allen Iverson. Let's be honest. All right, that is all we've got for this week's episode. We hope you've enjoyed listening and watching, and we will be back next week.